Proposition's PM speech can be described in 3 words. They are absurd. They made absurd claims on how Grammys are solely chosen through biased and racist opinions. They ridiculously claim that art is subjective only and shouldn't be objective. The PM has just been cherry picking a few minor harms that wouldn't even be able to stand, as it is taken from a very extremist and worst case scenario. So proud to stand on side of opposition. So let me delve a little deeper and move on to the clarification and strategic mistakes I'd like to point out. As I've said before, Prop's main argument are solely based on the extreme assumption that all these awards are chosen through incredibly racist and biased opinions. Aside from the fact that it isn't even contextualized, I like to stress on this because of how again they choose an extreme and worst case scenario to support their case. They based all their assumptions that award shows are run by hosts that have no intentions in doing good. Now, this is completely unfair for them to claim because the people that choose the awards have background themselves. They aren't just chosen randomly from the streets, but they all have the qualification necessary to make that decision. Take the Oscar, for example, a very famous award given to award-winning films. Take the Oscar, for example. In order to win one, the committee would have to go through almost 10,000 votes from Academy members that are involved in the movie business before finally coming up with a decision to who to give award. Additionally, the committee members would be incentivized to make sure that their field of arts is developing. They would want the relevance of it. Like, for example, in a soccer team, the coach would obviously choose the best players to join the team so that their reputation would be held and thus progressing. The same goes for the awards in the music industry, where they obviously choose songs or films that are high and would thus further progress the industry. So, Prop also said, and I quote, "People won't like art as it is. They won't be able to see the value and their motivation is not clear." Now, this is another strategic mistake that I like to point out because Prop's case isn't exclusive towards award shows. They're basically trying to insinuate the fact that commercialization of art should be banned, which is ridiculous. Why is it a bad thing for artists to make money and be recognized from art? They fail to realize that when you act or sing, it is still considered a service after all. And last strategic mistake is that they said that art should be subjective and not objective in any form. So that means if Prop actually wanted to win, they are burdened to argue why at the end, art has to be completely subjective and no objective standards. This is something they failed to do. So now moving on then to my rebuttals. So in reply to their claims that awards are flawed in practice, note that this aspect of the argument is simply technical. They brought up how the Glory Day awards are over, but this doesn't mean that it's irrelevant and now thus the need for the abolishment of such. They also talked about unfair wins, but even so, how would you solve it by just banning it? The fact is, right now, awards like this are chosen through a rigorous process that have gone through proper selection from people of qualified backgrounds. This has given a lot more chances, especially to those in the minority, to win such awards, like, for example, Michelle Yeoh, Morgan Freeman, and those are just to name a few. So, they also talked about how awards like this would result in the diminishing of values in art. But this again is untrue. People would still understand that art is subjective. Just because one song won an award and one didn't, doesn't mean the other song is bad. Additionally, they made a false claim that the artist's main incentive is all about winning awards. Like, sure, it could motivate you, but it isn't their main incentive. Motivation is highly personal and varies from person to person, and you cannot just blindly assume that artists would be demotivated without such awards. And lastly, on their claims about music should be subjective and not objective. So, by saying this, are you going to ban art school? Because art school has specific objective parameters that need to be met. We believe that it's okay to have factors to value such arts because there are many factors in defining arts or songs, for example, like technique, creativity, and so on. So, now moving on then to my argument highlighting the importance of the awards and how it greatly benefits the artists themselves. Panels, you have to understand that prestigious award wins or even just being nominated can have a profound effect on the artist's career that lasts long after the ceremony. These awards serve as a powerful spotlight, highlighting the individual abilities and creative contribution. The doors to a world of opportunities that might have otherwise remained closed may now be open thanks to this increased visibility. How so? Well, under this, there are two reasons. Firstly, the awards would grab the interest of art or music industry. An artist who has received recognition from prestigious awards is more likely to catch the attention of film producers, music industry executives, theater directors, and so on. This recognition can lead to lucrative contracts, partnerships, and more collaborations with other well-known artists, and thus requests to exhibit their work on illustrator stages and platforms like through Spotify, radio, thus further promoting them. And secondly, aside from the wider opportunities, the exposure that comes with the awards can greatly increase an artist's fan base. Millions of people watch award shows, and the winners and nominees would be frequently discussed on social media platforms. Their broad exposure exposes artists to a worldwide fan base, expanding their reach far beyond their current social networks. As their work becomes more well known, more people become interested in it and go to exhibitions, performances, or screenings that they might not have otherwise gone to. But thanks to these awards, they are going now. So additionally, the awards can also serve as inspiration toward artists to help them progress further. As sources of motivation for our aspiring artists, awards in the creative and artistic fields are crucial. They not only honor the accomplishment of well-known artists, but they also set high standards for others who are just starting out on their artistic journeys. These awards show that pursuing a career in the arts is not only feasible, but also a route to recognition and validation for emerging talents by helping them realize their artistic goals and dreams. So, all in all, we have directly engaged with prop case and mitigated the so-called harms proposed by them, and have then highlighted the importance of such awards in the art industry. Thus, so proud to oppose.